You're asking me, Meenakshi, you're touching upon a very, very sensitive chord in my life. Yes, one has to go back with this question of yours in time when I was perhaps 7 or 8 years old, when I went to my grandfather's place, and we had a lot of big aunties.
8-9 years old children, when they get special attention from elders and get appreciated, so it makes them feel happy. So that's how he won our trust and confidence in him. He invited us. We went to his place.
We used to be about 5-6 girls together, boarding the school bus. There was this man who used to come in ambassador, and he would ask us, "Can you tell me this address?"
Well, it wasn't like somebody offered you chocolates, but it was like posters being offered to you, some very colorful Cadbury posters or some lovely boxes, empty boxes. Even that makes you happy.
Oh, wow, it's a shell. Shell, it's a shell, good shell. I've seen first time.
A person came who he was also in the waiting room. He came to me, so roughly being friendly, and I also enjoyed that friendship, that all right, it's okay. It was also kind of a feeling that yes, I am now grown up enough to belong to the mature world, and there is somebody adult who is talking to me on the same terms of equality, so that was also a bit flattering.
Først rider en frøken, går i dilt og trav, og dilt og trav. Først rider en frøken, går i dilt og trav, dilt og trav.
I can still remember it was night, it was what kind of cot it was, who were people sleeping around. You know, these things I don't remember so many other good things in my life. But I do remember these, sexual assaults.
When I saw inside the car, like I wanted to see the paper on which the address was written, I saw his, private part, and it was showing off, and he was trying to, give those kind of looks, and then he would look at his part, and then again,
The thing was that he wanted me to touch him at his pants down over there.
Before I could, get into my senses, he had already opened my shorts.
Yeah.
And my penis was in his hands. He started kissing it. That time I felt so disgusted.
The tragedy of male children is more because nobody thinks that that the male child can be molested, and this goes on, and nobody notices. Gundagardi chaldi rehti.
It was worse when it came from a man. It was worse. And by that time I had grown sufficiently to realize that these kind of things are a sign of moral deprivation, degradation.
I felt like crying, killing him or hitting him, but finally I couldn't do anything. After a few minutes I sat there still wondering what I have done. Like, it was something like I have been victimized, I have been exploited.
Why is child sexual abuse or CSA so common? And it's precisely so common because it is linked to something much larger, which is human sexuality. That is the root of the problem. And child sexual abuse is perhaps the worst kind of aberration there is of a human sexuality that is not understood, its complexities are not addressed.
Child sexual abuse. So, who is a child? What do you mean by sexual, and what is abuse? When you think of a child, you're certainly thinking of somebody below the age of 14 or 15, though the UN talks about child as below the age of 18. Now, sexual again, sexual can mean gestures. Sexual can just mean just a touch like this. It need not have to be a rape or penetration or actually somebody's panties being taken down or hand put somewhere.
আমার প্রথম সিনাকি গলি নেকি পাহরি রঙা বগা ফুল বসা এগেখনি পিন্ধিলো আপং বাতি দিছিলি লাহে লাহে কো.
Now, why it becomes an abuse for the child is because in her later years it would be a memory.
Till date, if I'm looking for some auto or if I'm standing somewhere and if a car comes and stops, that immediate that scene comes in front of me, immediate, So that thing doesn't go. That is there.
Probably as a child I didn't even know that it is sexual assault. It's now I remember that it was his cock, it was, but that time I didn't even know. It was out of my world. I didn't know how to react to it.
I was big enough to understand that this is my private thing and it's not an organ to be, hand it over to others to fiddle with it.
A child may be aware of all the aspects of child abuse, but when he or she is being victimized, he or she may not have the ability to manage that.
A child is uncomfortable in the state of abuse. It's not happy, it's not natural. So the symptoms will come out. A child can be bedwetting. A child can become very distracted at school, can lose concentration, will start throwing tantrums, will be unnecessarily angry or aggressive, suddenly will become very reclusive.
We don't listen to children. I mean, even when children are sexually abused, I have come across cases where parents don't want to hear it because they're scared of the social embarrassment that it will cause. So they will tell the child, no, you're wrong, it could not have happened.
We are really child oppressive people. I've yet to see, including, myself, to not to be oppressive, toward children. Immediately. This is, it's culturally, handed down to us from generations. Gundagardi generations se chali aa rahi. So this sexual abuse takes us to a wider plane. Are we concerned when a daughter comes and tells his mother कि मैनू इस बंदे ने छेड़िया सीगा, वो पहले प्यो पहला उन्हें कुटेगा अपनी धी नूं. पंजाब विच हुंदा इस तरह. It's a horrible society.
Me and my cousin, we both sat together and discussed about it. What should be our action? Whom should we tell? Our grandfather, father, mother? And finally we narrowed into one common aspect, that if we tell, the first reaction will be, why the hell you went with a stranger?
The only thing which I did was I reported it back home, not voluntarily, but every time I was sent to that shop, I kind of said that please, I don't want to go. So on 1 or 2 instances it was like, you were given a pasting because why don't you want to go? Till finally I opened my mouth and said, look, this is what it is. Well, fortunately my parents understood me and did not, because like let us say during our times, children were, it is always seen that you did something. The perception was never that an adult can do something.
किसी ने आपको टच किया हो और आपको अनकंफर्टेबल लगा हो, ऐसा कभी हुआ है एनी बॉय?
जब मेरे फादर जब सोते हैं तब वो सोए हुए लेकिन नींद में जब वो मुझे पकड़ते हैं तब अनकंफर्टेबल फील होता है। बहुत जोर से पकड़ते हैं।
अच्छा एक बात बताओ, ऐसे कोई आपको कोई आंटी पकड़ ले जैसे आपके पापा पकड़ते हैं या कोई अंकल पकड़ ले तो आपको कैसे लगेगा?
बुरा लगेगा।
It is very unfortunate that you do not do anything but you begin to feel a sense of guilt.
Children are most likely to be abused by people they know. That could be very, very close, which could be in the family. It could be uncles, grandfathers, fathers, house help, tutors, teachers, gym teachers, music teachers. But people who have some kind of a relationship with the child.
It is fascinating that generally those who abuse are also very polite and gentle. They are not generally the ruffians or the, who one can say that write the person off. So that is another characteristic which one finds with those who abuse children or basically who are sexual abusers, that they are gentlemen and they are very polite. So getting people to be convinced that these are dangerous elements also becomes very difficult.
An old man, of my, bearing, of, my, gentle face, could be more dangerous than, an ordinary beggar in the street.
Abuser close to the child uses trust, love and negotiation, which is why also one has to understand that very few children experience physically extremely violent abuse. Where they get mutilated or very badly damaged. That happens in a smaller percentage, and usually those are abusers who are not known because then they disappear. Within the family, within the known circle of the child, the abuser won't damage them physically because that will give him or her away. So it's usually an abuse which is physically not that harmful, but emotionally and sexually it's completely devastating.
Many of the abusers started abusing children when they started getting an erotic interest in children. They fulfill this by downloading child pornography, reading child pornographic books, etc., looking at sexual images, and this is sufficient to give them an erotic stimulus. But as time goes by, they find that they have a stimulus hunger. They need more stimulus to excite them. So they start getting closer to the action.
आजा प्यारे पास हमारे काहे घबराए.
It is adults who like to have sex with children or who like to have children play with their sexual organs, and it is done in a particular way. It is the pleasure from children. Pedophilia is so dangerous because their theme is sex before 8 or it is too late. So they want the child young.
How equipped you were in terms of sexual information when you were growing up?
Not very much, because those were not the days of television.
From the internet, from the TV, as some of you told me, right? And your parents are yet to inform you. Am I right? They are yet to inform you?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. But you are already informed?
Yes. उनको लगता है हमें मालूम नहीं है.
पर आपको तो मालूम है ना?
थोड़ा थोड़ा. क्या क्या?
आपको क्या क्या मालूम है?
थोड़ा थोड़ा पेपर में जो हम रीड करते हैं तो थोड़ा थोड़ा मालूम. कहाँ क्या केसेस होते हैं, लोनली प्लेस में कहाँ कहाँ केसेस होते हैं और क्या क्या पनिशमेंट मिलती है उन्हें.
By the time my mother will tell me anything, I'll get to know everything.
ऐसा ये बात अच्छी नहीं है, वो कहती है.
क्या बात अच्छी नहीं है?
कर कोई टच करे ऐसे.
तो मैं तो आपको टच कर रहा हूँ.
आप मेरी टीचर है ना.
तो कौन टच नहीं कर सकता?
Strangers.
And believe me, when I got married, I wasn't even aware what is intercourse and how it is done and how a girl gets pregnant. Even when I was 17, when I got married, I didn't know anything. So definitely that particular incident really ruined my life.
For one thing, I feel that sex education has to be started much earlier than what it is started, because like I think I knew everything by 9, and probably my mother gave me sex education at 12 or 13 or 11 or whatever, after I reached puberty. But I think children these days, and I'm now 50, so children these days come to know these things much earlier.
In a family, mum and dad should really join forces in order to give these two perspectives, because if it just comes from a father to a son or from a mother to a daughter, is not complete. If the two parents representing two sides of sex would sit down and discuss their own interpretations and understandings of sex and sexuality, then for a child is more comprehensive, is more equal than just one perspective.
Very often people talk about sex education. Well, my focus would be not on educating the child so much, but on educating the parents of how to extract information from their children or keep a hand on the pulse to know what is happening at the right time.
Today you hear it on every alternate paragraph of the newspaper is full of this kind of a thing. And many are not told, not related. So I think that way the children have to be informed.
Let me be very frank with you. I tried it out a couple of years ago and I had a very bad backlash from parents.
The adult world feels that when we educate the children in sex and sexuality, number one, they will start experimenting with it, with newly acquired knowledge. Number two, sex and sexuality is a sublime instinct, and discussing it in the classroom will make it mundane and will kill the innocence of the children, because they would start experimenting. All these misapprehensions are misplaced. And that's why we are conducting advocacy program, so that the parents, teachers understand the need of these intervention. We are training teachers so that they can know and they can have the confidence that we can discuss sex and sexuality in a dignified language, in the language of school education, in classroom situation.
And that is a prevention. Yeah, it's kind of a prevention strategy, because you're not there when a child's been abused, or raped. But later, you would see the traces of that disaster. It appears in a kind of a negative way.
Perhaps even today I don't feel that confident enough. All the while I am talking with people very happily, but that has stayed with me. That fear that you can always be cheated, something bad can happen to you.
As a grown-up person, I am very uncomfortable hugging men. Even now, till today.
maybe some really nice, genuine person who loves and cares for children, he comes forward, I'll just close my ears and my mind, I'll play back the same incident. So this is a scar which leaves on the young mind.
Somewhere it dwarfs your personality. It removes or shares away your self-confidence, and that takes long time to heal. They haunt you. They are behind you like invisible shadows. They kind of dent your future sexual life.
So when we talk about the long-term effects of child sexual abuse, they're huge on the human psyche, on the sexuality, on the issue of trust, on receptivity, on being able to trust intimate relationships.
No, I'm not angry. I think I'm conscious. Conscious of the fact that that no child should go through such an experience.
Ma pa da sa sa re re sa da pa ma pa re ma pa dha ma pa.
Abusing children is something which is not acceptable at all.
Child is the most precious thing in the world. A child is what the world is. That is what real life is.